Hey everybody, I'm Seth Jones, editor-in-chief of Golfdom magazine, trying something new here, doing a Zoom interview. I'm very excited to welcome my first guest. He is the superintendent at Upper Montclair Country Club in Clifton, New Jersey. His course has hosted the PGA Tour, the LPGA Tour, and the Champions Tour. I first met him at the 2015 Golfdom Summit. In 2016, he did do a 19th hole interview with me where he revealed to me the fact that he once fronted a Pearl Jam cover band. His members know him as a great grass grower. I know him as a cool guy. It's my pleasure to welcome Certified Golf Course Superintendent Mike Brunelle. Mike, thanks for taking the time to chat with me today.
For having me, Seth.
So you and I talked the other day, and you had some interesting information. Of course, everybody's adjusting the way they're doing their jobs right now based on the pandemic. Can you talk to me about something that you said to me that was really interesting? It was about, there's no, first start off and just tell me, what's the situation like in New Jersey right now with the golf course and the golfers?
Well, New Jersey's a little different these days. I mean, first of all, you're coming to work wearing one of these every day. You got rubber gloves that you're putting on all the time. You make sure you got some sort of disinfectant, not to mention you're always sanitizing. It's active here. I mean, there's no golf currently, which makes it a little bit more challenging for many of the clubs that, require solely on what we have as the environment of golf and just all the factors that relate to that the economy or that economically. So for us, it is very different because we're doing a lot of different things just to keep the guys that we do have here safe so that we can maintain our property as long as we can so that we can eventually get golfers out here.
So how are you guys, how's work going for your crew? Are they able to, with something that we talked about was about the fact that you have no golf out there. So that's changed your world. Talk to me about that.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's amazing. You realize how efficient you aren't when there's golf out there. This is not the way that we want to figure that part out, but it's amazing. We usually carry a staff of 35 in season. We are currently at 18. That 18 includes myself, my admin who's working from home, 2 mechanics that one is working night shift. The other one is working day shift. We have 3 assistants here, and then we have 11 laborers here on 27 holes. So that's about half of our normal staff, and we're doing split time so that we're staggering when guys come in, when they're taking their breaks, when they're taking their lunches, and when they're leaving, so that the exposure in and out of our building and where we're getting people together, stays between the 10 people in a meeting area, and that we're making sure we have enough space that we're not on top of each other.
In terms of not getting slowed down by golfers, what's that like? You guys just go out and you hole to hole, don't even look around?
It's gotten to that point where, the only people we see out there, sometimes we'll see people out just taking a walk, just trying to get away from it all, which, I can't say that I'm completely against. I see it as being an outdoor property it's pretty, we're 193 acres. We can space ourselves accordingly. And so for us, I mean, usually we're usually 100% efficiency in the beginning of the day. And then once golfers get out there, it gets down to about 35% efficiency from just waiting or that sort of thing. But also on the golf course, you're not doing course setup. You're not mowing greens every day. You're not rolling greens all the time. You're not doing bunkers. If you look at bunkers alone on 27 holes, that's 9 guys every morning that we're sending out every morning to just do bunkers, and then 3 guys that do set up. And between whether we're sending triplexes or walk mowers, you can be between 3 or 7 guys doing walk mowing greens. So, it's significant, the impact of actually preparing a golf course for play versus just maintaining a golf course.
Absolutely. Have you had any trouble with people sneaking on trying to play?
I'm not going to say that there aren't people that make their way in and around. We're asking our membership to use their discretion in terms of what is expected from our government. So that's what we're asking to do. Okay. I'm not policing anything.
Yeah.
That's not my job is to maintain the property.
Sure. In terms of, are you guys doing anything different maintenance wise in anticipation of just, your crew is not as big as it typically is this time of year? You changing anything up?
Definitely. I mean, we're using triplexes on greens a heck of a lot more. We changed our hole. Usually we would aerify every season, in the spring. We usually drill and fill and followed by an aerification. This year we did not drill and fill. We did a deep tine instead, which saved us, it cost us about a third of what it would normally cost us to drill and fill. Plus the sand is, another significant number. So doing that, plus we didn't need the touch points. The buckets of sand that go on your shoulder that then go on the machine and then the next guy grabs. It was just added work that we didn't need to put on our staff and exposure that we didn't need to put on each other. So we kind of decided to do that internally. Our organic matter in our greens is at a good level right now, so that in the past we've pulled cores off right away and filled everything with sand. This time around we left the cores on top, we dragged everything back in, and then we just blew off thatch, which made it a lot easier for only having half the staff to be able to clean up the greens afterwards. It makes the lifting a lot lighter and the process a lot quicker. So there are little things that we are doing in and out of each and every day that's a little bit different than what we've normally done.
Mm-hmm. How's the staff feel?
Even when, the staff has been very positive. I still have guys anxious to come back. We have guys that are still stuck in the Dominican. We have guys that are stuck in Peru. We have guys that are here locally that are wanting to come back from unemployment, but we don't want to compress our area any more than we need to. We don't want to infect anybody. So we're trying to do everything with what we got as long as we can. And if it gets to the point where golf is back in play, obviously that's going to change things. Mm-hmm. And we're going to have to, one of the things we're working on today is what we're going to do going forward. If that does happen 2 weeks down the line, how do we make it so that we can still get golf out there and with getting more guys in here and still keeping it very safe for our staff? So I think that's the most important thing, is that we try to keep everybody as safe as possible and protect the investment.
Yep. Appreciate you taking the time to chat with me today. It's good to catch up with you.
All right. Sounds good. Thanks, Seth.
You guys stay safe in New Jersey. I'll talk to you later. Okay. I'd like to welcome my next guest. He is, you can follow him on Twitter. Spartan Grass, I think, is the handle. He's always a good Twitter follow, because I guarantee you, as good of a grass grower as he is, he's got even more opinions about it. He is the superintendent at Aldarra Golf Club, a Tom Fazio design in Sammamish, Washington. I'd like to welcome my friend Sean Reehoorn. Sean, thanks for taking the time to chat with me today.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Seth. Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
This Zoom seeing each other thing is starting to get pretty normal.
Yeah, most of us. Starting to, yeah. I think hanging up is still weird. I'm having a hard time,
yeah, it is.
It's kind of like you hang up, I hang up. I don't know. On the phone, it's easy. Click.
Right.
Give me the scoop. What's going on, and what's current state in Washington with golf and working and everything?
So we're under a stay-at-home order. I think the stay-at-home order was officially issued on the 24th of March. Essential maintenance is the only part of golf right now that's allowed. What essential maintenance isn't defined. It's just essential maintenance is the wording in the stay-at-home order. So no golf. The golf courses are not open, public, private, nothing. We're working as an association, Golf Alliance of Washington. We're scheduled right now. Our stay-at-home order is extended through May 4th. And so we're trying to work, and I say we as like everybody who's working on this, to make sure that when the state comes back open, May 4th, May 5th, that golf is something that will be one of those allowed activities. I think the consensus between us all and everybody is that we're not going to go from 0 to 100. It's going to go they're going to roll out 15% or 20%, open up this business and open up that business, see what the numbers are, and then a week later they'll do more and then keep on going. But right now golf is closed through May 4th at the earliest.
What's it like? No one ever really expected to have to be a golf course superintendent in a pandemic, I would imagine. What's it like for you guys? How are you guys making your decisions? Who's making the decisions? How's that coming along?
So I'm fortunate. I just have a single board at the club. I don't have a greens committee. I don't have a finance committee. We just have a board. And so the board did something I thought was really smart from the top. Like they made an agreement that if they made a decision, unless they were forced to change based on regulations changing, that they would stick to that decision for 2 weeks. So it's made it pretty easy. It's made it easier for us as employees. Like, hey, we're going to keep all these people for 2 weeks and we're going to do this for 2 weeks. Instead of like on a Tuesday morning, you come to work and there's one order. And then on Wednesday morning, there's something different because somebody has another, because their emotions changed. And I think what's occurring right now with a lot of people is there's this need to stay up with the changing world. And it's not possible. We get an order, it's stay at home. Like, let's find out what works for us. Let's look at the finances. Let's break down the financial. Let's make sure we communicate to our people what we're doing and just stick with those things. Take it down a notch just inside our staff. We have the barn we use for our maintenance facilities was built in 1940, so it's a big, giant barn you would see on an old property. We're not using the inside. I'm in my office, so just basically myself and my assistants are allowed in here. Everybody else meets out in the parking lot. They can come in to use the microwave in the bathroom, but only like one or two people in at a time. We have multiple exits, so like you come in one way, you leave the other way. So we try to, we've given guys like they each have their own box of nitrile gloves, so there's not like a community stash.
Okay.
We've given them earplugs in their car. Like, you never really realized how many touch points there were, and so we've tried to do everything we can to eliminate every touch point possible. And then we just do a pretty good job every day of having guys come in and clean off door handles and wipe down the microwave and all this stuff. And you just got to just tell them, I think, how important it is to do these things. And it seems that most of our staff has taken to it really well, and they're just working together to get it done.
If you were one of those guys who already was a pro at, like, not touching the door handle after you leave the bat, those guys have a leg up on everybody else right now. Like, oh, we've been doing this for a long time. You never look at things like we do.
I never, I told somebody right after this all started, about 3 or 4 days into it, I have a totally new respect for germaphobes. Like, I'm not one myself. I've never really been a germaphobe, but now, like, you see somebody at the grocery store and you're going to cross the door together, you just like, you take on this whole different stance, and you just know what to do.
I have an old friend who I called and checked in on him because I know what he's like, and his lines, because he's a longtime germaphobe and whatnot. And he said, "Dude, I've always lived in fear. This is right up my alley. I'm fine. I'm worried about you." I'm like, "Oh, it's a good point. Never thought of it that way." So,
Yeah.
So you guys are working out there. You guys got a head start on aerification out there. Talk to me about what's the process normally like, and what are you guys doing right now?
So we're working on airifying as much short grass as we can. So tees and approaches right now. If this would have not happened, we would have our regular scheduled aerification would have been April 13th. So we're going to start greens on Monday. Normally it would be like over the course of 2 days, we would do, say a 10-step process. We're going to start greens on Monday and kind of cut some of the steps out. We're not going to deep tine. It's probably going to take us 3 or 4 days to get all the greens done, because we're sticking to the, like, hey, even like, top dressing greens is a challenge, because maybe there's multiple people that need to use the loader. We've made it thing like, hey, this person's top dressing. He's the only guy allowed in the loader that day. Nobody else can drive it. You fill up, you got to text him. He'll come and fill you up. Like, you just try to add these layers. So a job that would take you 10 minutes is now taking you 20 minutes. A job that takes you an hour is taking you an hour and a half. And so there's a lot of patience being learned, I think, between all of us. But the guys have been great. The staff, I'm fortunate to have staff that's been here for, 15, 17 years. Some guys longer than me, and they just know what the deal is and they get it done. And, I've tried to make sure that I communicate to the staff, like, hey, if you see stuff that needs to get done, like, either just do it yourself or remind me, and let's have an open dialogue about what we're trying to accomplish.
It's kind of bittersweet, with the Masters would have been this week and whatnot. It's hard to, Monday I was like, oh, I could be there right now. It's weird.
Yeah, I think that's one of the hard things too about not having golf in Washington, is that, like, this is the time of year. I mean, our weather right now has turned we've had a terrible winter, and we had 5 months of just crappy weather. And so now it's 65, 67 degrees outside today. It's sunny. This is the time of year most people, especially with the Masters, like the golf buzz and people kind of get the golf buzz, right? They're just ready to go and ready to go play golf, and they can't.
Yeah.
And there's, just being able, I'm finding a lot of solitude though, like being able to come to work and have like my own park, if you will, kind of with my staff. There's probably 8 or 9 of us here a day, 7 of us. We're all kind of spread out. We just text a lot and FaceTime or whatever. But it's kind of nice. Like it's relaxing for me to be here, like in something that's a semblance of normal. Like I get up, I go to work, where I think it's been a lot harder on people who have been working from home for 2 months. Like you're just stir crazy between 4 walls.
Yeah, I definitely think that's an advantage you guys have. I mean, I normally work from home unless I'm traveling, but then so it wasn't hard for me to get used to working from home again. Just the lack of travel has been a little bit different, and then having my family around. But for you guys, yeah, that's a work can be almost an escape, really.
Yeah, for sure. And it especially when it's as sunny and nice as it out. I just got done actually walking on a couple greens and put the headphones in and just trying to kind of be present with what I was doing.
Perfect. Well, hey, Sean, I appreciate you taking the time and chatting with me today. It's good to see you. I'm glad you guys are doing good.
Good to see you too, Seth. Thanks for your time.
Absolutely. Everybody, this is Sean Reehoorn. He's a superintendent out at Aldarra Golf Club, Sammamish, Washington. Appreciate it, Sean. We'll check in with you later. Talk to you later. And this is where we say goodbye.
Dave.
Okay, everybody. My next guest. It feels like years ago that he and I shared a Uber from Reunion Resort to the Orlando airport, but it was actually just a few months ago. He is a fitness nut who not only can tell you his blood pressure and heart rate and how many minutes he slept last night, but he is also the CEO of FAIRWAYiQ, and his company can tell you about your labor and equipment and give you the intelligence to dial in your turf operation. It's my pleasure to welcome FAIRWAYiQ's CEO, Dave Vanslette. Dave, thanks for taking the time to chat with me today.
Hey, Seth. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
It does feel like a long time ago, doesn't it? Since everything's happened?
Yeah. Tell me about it. It seems, I mean, I guess it was November, but it feels like maybe a year ago.
Yeah, exactly. Tell me about what's going on in your neck of the woods. How are things? You're in Boston area, is that right?
Yeah. So I'm outside of Boston. We're in the Metro West area, just outside of the 128 belt. And, things are, as everyone else is experiencing, we're all sort of back at home, kids are home, and just trying to wait this thing out and be socially responsible. But we still have to carry the business on, and we've got customers that, are relying upon us. So we're all working remotely. We check in through all the video tools, and, we've got Slack and a whole bunch of other tools that keep us connected.
Great. So give me first, for the folks who don't know you and your company, give me the elevator pitch on what is FAIRWAYiQ.
Sure. So we're an asset tracking company. So we put sensors on everything from the golf operation side, where we track pace of play, caddies, golf carts. We've been working with the PGA Tour for years now. They track and monitor the location and pace of every player on the tour every week with our technology. Okay. And then on the maintenance side, we are dialing in the operation by putting in sensors on the equipment. We also have a key fob on the operator. So we connect, when the operator sits on a piece of equipment, we connect them to the equipment, and we could drive all sorts of efficiencies around, telling the superintendents and the assistants essentially, like, who's the best at what tasks, and more importantly, sometimes who's the worst, okay. Because oftentimes you got to plug a guy in when others are out, and really not a good fit sometimes.
Okay. So you and I were on the phone the other day, and we're talking about it. We've got a couple of things cooking. I'll get to the charitable cause later, but something that was very interesting is that with COVID-19, you're looking at this as a way that your technology can also maybe do something to where, for example, I was talking to a superintendent who split his crew in half every other day, part of the crew, because he's worried about somebody getting sick. And so tell me about how you've approached this with what you guys do.
Yeah. So, first off, I'll just say, we want to be a different kind of company in the market. So we're coming at this when the virus kind of came about. We looked at it and said, how can we help our customers in a non-serving way? We didn't want this to be about FAIRWAYiQ, but about customers. And when we looked at, where we are right now, everybody knows the term flattening the curve. And we'll eventually flatten the curve to the point that we could send everyone back to work. The problem with that is that people will be afraid to go back to work. And they're afraid to be there today, but a lot of these folks are forced to work day in and day out for the paycheck, right? Mm-hmm. So what we said to ourselves is we looked at technology around the world, saw what they were doing in Asia around contact tracing, and said, well, we have a mobile phone application. Can we add a component to our mobile phone application for the crew? Everyone downloads it onto their phone. And what we'll do is we'll log the proximity events. So anytime my phone, Seth, gets near you, we log an event that says Seth and Dave came in contact. Mm-hmm. And then if one of us develops symptoms at a certain point, or we're testing positive, all the facility has to do is look back at all the history of touch points and say, who did Dave touch throughout the last couple of weeks, and not overreact necessarily, but sort of target, the steps that are taken to make everyone safe.
Absolutely. That's interesting because, I was just talking to Mike Brunelle out in New Jersey. He was saying that I asked him how the guys are getting along, and he says they don't even see each other. They're staying so far away from each other. But something like that could be another element, because a lot of these guys aren't really coming in. They're on a big property like that. You can stay away from each other, but if I happen chance to come into contact with someone, as opposed to shutting down the whole crew, you can just say, hey, who did he come in direct contact with? It's an interesting application. It's cool to me to see how companies are doing things differently and trying to figure out a way in the new normal, so very cool. Good for you guys. Something else you came with me you brought to me recently was you reached out and you said, you asked if we had heard anything about people doing anything for all the guys and gals who are out of work on the golf course crews. And we said, yeah, not really, and you raised your hand and said, well, I'm really passionate about this. I think there's a lot of people who are going to be struggling financially. I want to create a GoFundMe, and that started a ball rolling. So this is your brainchild. So talk to me about the Our Game, Our Crew program that you created.
Yeah, again, the first thing that came to mind when I sort of thought about our business was, how do we keep everybody employed, right? Mm-hmm. And the government programs are out there, and the PPP paycheck programs coming out, some of the other loan programs by the government, and they're intended to keep businesses afloat, and more importantly, keep people employed during this weird time in the economy. Mm-hmm. Well, I thought about it. I was like, well, some of the classifications of these golf clubs don't necessarily fit into the programs that are out there by the, pushed by the government. And it'll take a little while due to political, nature, et cetera, to kind of fix them. So what could we do to get these people sort of, a paycheck? And so, that's when I approached you guys. You guys have been amazing to work with. A lot of the branding and stuff came, I think, from you, Seth, and the storyline, us together. And I think we could really, really have an impact on the everyday employee. So the idea here is that we set up this GoFundMe. We can get donations from anyone who loves the game, cares about people, today. I mean, there's a lot of people out there that want to help. They just don't know how to help. And we personalize it to a very, very small segment of the population here. Golf, it's a big industry, but it's a small industry relative to the rest of industry in the world. And we can have a very targeted impact amongst these folks. So we get the donations in. And then what we're going to do is we're going to have the superintendents, nominate individuals on a first come, first served basis. And then a group of us will basically first in, first out. We'll allocate some funds to those guys and send out gift cards. Hopefully we can have an impact much quicker than the government.
Very cool. Thanks for doing that, Dave. Thanks for reaching out to us. There's already $5,000 in the kitty right now. So we want to make that an easy website for anyone to find a GoFundMe link. So you can stop by golfdom.com. We'll have Our Game, Our Crew logo you can click on. And if you're comfortable, we'd be happy to help out those people. I appreciate it. It's been fun for us, Dave, because it gives us something else to focus some effort on. We've been doing so much reporting on the pandemic and how is it affecting the industry and whatnot. And this has been a different part of the brain that we've been using. So I thank you for that. All right. Well, Dave, hey, appreciate you taking the time chatting with me today. It's good to see you.
Thanks, Seth. Appreciate it. Stay healthy.
Okay, you too. Okay, my next guest lives in Minnesota, so he was just allowed back on the golf course today. So congratulations. His byline has been,
thank you.
His byline has been in Golfdom a few times, both on research articles as well as sarcastic articles such as On a Road to Nowhere and Have You Seen My Left Glove? He's worked across all facets of the industry, not just writing for us, but also he's worked in academia. He's worked in the chemical side for PBI Gordon, and now he's back as assistant superintendent at Rush Creek Golf Club in Maple Grove, Minnesota. It's my pleasure to welcome Matt Cavanaugh. Matt, thank you for taking the time.
Thanks for the call.
Absolutely.
Yeah, appreciate it.
So you guys were shut down. You guys couldn't get out. First, tell me about in Minnesota. Give me the background. Did you guys see it coming? How did you prepare?
Yeah, so the governor in the state of Minnesota has been very proactive. So even, probably around March 20th, we kind of saw a shutdown was going to come. And so us at Rush Creek, we started, our biggest thing is we have covers. And we've had almost no snow covers since the end of February, early March, which is unusual. And so even though it's been cold, they heat up. So our biggest thing was to get those covers off so we didn't have any unwanted growth because, daytime temps and nighttime temps could be detrimental. So our first and foremost was get those covers off before anything would happen. So we went out on March 23rd and 24th, and we actually had a pretty small crew. Just with even at the end of March, everything that was going on, we only had about 7 of us. And we got we have 19 covers, including the practice green, got all 19 covers off in about 5 hours. And that was step 1, because 2 days later we were shut down. Didn't mow anything prior to that, just got those things off. We didn't even put we always put the covers in a bag. We didn't even do that because you have to get pretty close to each other to lift it up and slide it into that bag. So we just tied them up, and they're actually still sitting in our shop right now. We didn't do anything other than get them off.
Wow. What was it like not being able to get out there? I mean, I don't know what the weather's been like for you guys, so you've been locked up for a while, basically. What was that like and for you and for the golf course?
The toughest part is it has been really nice. We've had a couple of cooler days, but it's been exceptionally nice for end of March, early April, Minnesota. I mean, in 2018, we didn't take covers off till April 24th. And in 2019, I was still blowing snow off our collars on April 18th when we opened. So we're all a little antsy. It's hard to make money in golf in Minnesota anyways. And anytime we could possibly open in March, everybody wants to. So we're going crazy because there's been plenty of good golf weather in Minnesota. So it's been hard. It's been difficult. Because we want to play some golf. We want to maintain the asset. But honestly, in a normal year, we probably wouldn't be going as hard as we can this year. So that's been tough and different for sure. But I've been the teacher for my 2 boys, so there's been a lot of that with no school. So that's been a challenge. We've done a lot of dad projects for sure.
Mm-hmm. What's the state of your crew? How many? What percent are there, and what's that like?
Yeah, so there are 4 of us that are full time, and right now it'll only be us for a while because we currently 2-day golf can't be played until at least May 4th right now.
Okay.
So that's an issue. I work at a public for-profit golf course, and we have 0 coming in. There were 12 weddings in May that were canceled. That's tough.
Yeah.
So right now we're only going with those full-time salary people. Otherwise, we have 15 retired individuals that are ready to go. They're texting me all the time right now. And we have, I think, close to 10 college and high school kids. And right now, the high school kids are doing all online classes. So they have a lot of time. They're texting me like crazy saying, hey, we're available. Yeah. And all the college kids are back in town. They're ready to go too. And unfortunately, we can't bring them in yet just because of lack of cash flow. Mm-hmm. And where I work, we're in good standing, but we still have to be smart about it.
So right now it's just going to be us full-time people, including our restaurant is closed. So the chef is likely going to come on and give us a hand. The golf pro is going to be giving us a hand. We'll do a little bit tomorrow, but most of our work is going to be starting on Monday. So any salaried people that are on the property are going to be giving us a hand right now. So there'll be some training going on.
Good. You trust Chef on a mower? What are you going to give him?
No, not a chance. We'll get a backpack blower and a rake.
Okay. All right. Good. Well, it's snowing there today, so sorry you can't get out there today, but congratulations on being allowed back on the property that you care for.
Yeah, it's been tough, but we're going to start rocking now.
Good. Okay, Matt. Well, hey, thanks for doing this with me. Good checking in. You guys stay safe up there.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, anytime, so thank you.
Great. You bet. Talk to you later.